what's up, YouTube? Oh, whoa, move my mic over. Hey. Okay, see, I'm trying to get this done. So, oh man, my earpiece fell out. I'm trying to get this done so fast. I'm hearing that there are armed protesters in Michigan right now, and I am ready to let's check that out. Let's get things going. Be sure to share the stream. I'm gonna get everything set up. We're gonna go to Facebook real quick. D Live at I'm King Ginger, and why not Twitch and Periscope? Why not? Let's just run the gamut. Let's run it. Let's run the whole gamut today as we find out what is going on. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. Be sure if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, if you go to youtube.com/Crown Rights Media, if you enter the chat there, I'm more likely to take notice of it, and you can join the operation. I'm just getting my Windows set up. I rushed so quickly to get this stream up because of what's happening. I wanted to make sure that I'm doing it for the SEO. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the SEO. I said I was going to stream every day this week, and I am not lying about that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. I've just got one more window to pull up. By the way, if you're watching this on Facebook, please be sure to share. We need to pay attention to what's happening right here. This is a big deal. I said I was going to stream every day what's happening. So, and I am not lying. I want to make sure we cover it well. If you look and see what the liberals are saying about this, even liberal evangelicals are saying about this, you would think that people have lost their minds, and it's true because people have lost their mind. Not the protesters in Michigan, though. We're going to talk about the Second Amendment. We're going to talk about it, but before we do that, let's pull up the browser, shall we? And let's see what exactly is going on. Let me pull this up real quick. Live armed protesters in Michigan. Switch to desktop. Let's see. Here we go.
Has this affected some people? Yes, it has. But we've never killed the American economy over a health scare.
Clark is there.
Instead of backing off, government has become more oppressive with no signs of letting up. Now we're told that testing of every American must be done before American life can return. I'm here to tell you.
Man, the audio is so bad. Couldn't they have plugged in somewhere?
Bill Gates.
I mean, look at all these people, man. They're angry. And a lot of them have guns. I don't see the way the media is talking about it. You would think, well, there's a guy with a gun right there. It looks like a musket. What is that? There's a guy. Oh, there's a guy right there. That guy's ready. Yeah, they did come with guns. Good for them. That's what I say. Good for them. I think it's absolutely critical and important that this is happening right now. But what's amazing to me is the way Twitter is talking about this. They're talking about this like it's a bunch of racist white nationalists out there that's taken part in this thing. Now, this is the video I saw earlier today. Ooh, there's some language there. Here we go. So they're chanting, "Let us in, let us in." What the F? Not what we do in America. Multiple armed gunmen stormed Michigan State House. State police are protecting Governor Whitmer and blocking the gunmen from gaining access to the House floor. I don't think that's exactly what. Like, that's a nice spin on it. From what I heard, is that they're not protecting the governor. they're not letting anybody come into the chambers to protest because they're going to vote against the will of the people. So they lock down the doors, and they're saying, well, this is about protecting the governor. I don't know how much I believe that, but I don't think these guys are not there. They're not there to just shoot people. Like, they're not there. They're there to protect themselves from the government, which is interesting too, because it's not. He says not what we do in America. Does he know about America? Has he studied American history? What is wrong? What is wrong with him? How does he not know what we do in America? How does he not know what we're doing? What he does? What we do? I mean, does he know how this was started? Is he even from America? Where's he? Parkland, Park. Oh, well, that explains a lot, doesn't it? That explains a whole ton. So, I got this really weird chat message, so I'm just going to block you. Don't know what that's about. Anyway, so, yeah, Biden for president. Yeah, so what's interesting to me is Amanda says, my cousin is in Michigan and saying that only 10% of the country that wants to go back to work, and they are all Trump-loving money hoarders that want to die from the vote. My cousin is in Michigan and saying it's only 10% of the country that wants to go back to work. Well, I think it's a lot more than that, Amanda. I think a lot more people want to go back to work. But, you know, what is this? I'm old enough to remember when disabled protesters were dragged from the state and federal building for trying to save their health care and their lives. Okay. There was a lot of like racist stuff about white people. I wanted to find those tweets. Yeah, here we go. If these people were black, they'd all be dead right now. Arrest their butts. I mean, okay, look. Whoa, somebody said I'm shadow banned. YouTube unsubscribed me from your page. Whoa, that's weird, Zanny. Thank you for telling me that. But let's talk about this. If these people were black, they'd all be dead right now. Arrest them. Here's the problem. And we need to talk about this. This we need to have this conversation, because I believe, actually, it was propaganda that said it was propaganda that said this. Here we go. He says, I just don't get how all the extreme. I just don't get how all these extreme right-wing protesters, no matter that issue, comes to heavily armed white men. How does everything boil down to American flags and guns with y'all? And my question is, why doesn't it boil down to that with you guys? See, black people have voted for Democrats for years. And what have the Democrats done? They've taken black people's guns. So now you have instances where unarmed black men are shot by the police. That's what's happening right now. But yet they still continue to vote for Democratic policies. Now, when Prop sees dudes wearing Boogaloo shirts, now, for those of you guys that don't know what a Boogaloo shirt is, we'll pull up a picture of it. Let's see. Here we go. So this is they're Hawaiian shirts. Can you guys see? They're Hawaiian shirts. There's not a lot of good examples per se, but essentially Boogaloo. Oh yeah, here we go. Boogaloo Hawaiian shirt. Let's do this. Yeah, so this is the joke. The Boogaloo Hawaiian shirt. Like this is the meme, right? This is the meme. It's people wearing Hawaiian shirts. Now, this might shock you. But do you know why? They wear Hawaiian shirts. For all these people talking about police brutality and unarmed black men being shot. But do you know why the meme is Hawaiian shirts? It's because in Hawaii they like to roast pigs. I'm not supporting killing police officers. That's the joke. Because they like to roast pigs. So when you sit here and say that these guys who are at these rallies don't care about police brutality, it's just an outright lie. Because the joke of the Hawaiian shirts is based on the fact that they're tired of police officers responding to Karens. They're tired of police officers shutting down businesses. They're tired of tyranny, even at the local level, not just the state level, not just the federal level. That's the joke of the Hawaiian shirt, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. But he said, I just don't get how all the extreme white ring protests, no matter the issues, comes to heavily armed white men. It's reason is because these heavily armed white men are against slavery to the state. You cannot tell you cannot tell me that you're against police brutality and get mad and upset when there's armed men trying to protect people from the state just because they're white. You're saying, well, they're white. They can get away with it. They can get away with it because they're white. Then you should thank them and join them and get behind them. Grab your guns and go and stand behind them and let them protect you too. Because the government, honestly, the government doesn't care what color your skin is. They want to enslave you all. And just for clarification here, I just want to be very clear. I do not support violence against the state. I do not support vigilante justice. That's the word I was looking for. I don't support vigilante justice. But guns are to protect ourselves specifically from oppression of the government. And it's defensive, not offensive. I'm not supporting offense here. But when we see these guys and they're out here and they're trying to they're trying to let me switch that so you guys can hear the audio from this real quick. There we go. So when we see this,
indeed, flu and pneumonia deaths this year are reported by MDHHS far surpass the number of COVID-19 admitted in largely the same way.
I mean, these guys are, look, see, there we go. There's the Hawaiian shirts. Like, that's the joke of the Hawaiian shirts. So all these liberal blue check marks on Twitter, who are complaining, is arrest the word? Yeah. So, here we go. No arrests, no death, no injuries. Terrorist white men get to go home free and alive. Now imagine armed black men doing the same. Let me just say, first off, to make this a racist thing is just outrageous to me. It's outrageous. It's not a racial thing. It's not a racial thing. This is about people who are in opposition to the government taking away their jobs because of the beer bug. And I guarantee you, no matter what color of your skin, if you were to go there, those same guys would be there to protect you too. And it just infuriates me because these people are the ones that vote for gun laws that make black people unarmed in the first place so they can't defend themselves. I don't like to see black people shot down by police. I think it's disgusting. And it angers me and it infuriates me. And I agree 150% that there is brutality of police. There is, especially against people of color. There's no question, there's no doubt about it. Police shoot unarmed black people all the time. But on that same note, police shoot unarmed white people all the time too. The difference is, for some weird reason, and if you think I'm just hating on Democrats, I'm not. For some weird reason, Republicans are okay with police brutality because of the thin blue line. Because of the thin blue line. And so, this guy named Jim Bean just on my YouTube chat just said, "Your life is a joke. Give up." Thanks for your comment, Jim Bean. I'll be sure to take that into consideration. Okay, thanks for letting me know my life is a joke. But again, so Democrats, let me just say this. Democrats support police brutality by making laws that make black men unarmed. And Republicans support police brutality that arms the local police government. That's how it is. Both parties support some sort of police brutality in some way. Or they at least support means in which police brutality can be easier. Nico in YouTube chat says, "What's the thin blue line?" So the thin blue line is essentially the band of brothers of police officers that are oh, look, you know what? Let's watch this actually. Yeah, so the thin blue line is
conversación con la policía, como ven ustedes.
What's happening here? Oh, I can't speak Spanish, but it says, controversial arrest in Puerto Rico. Giovanni Roberto, an activist who's fed hungry people during the island's lockdown, was arrested today during Caravana por la Vida, a protest caravan against the government failure to feed students and provide assistance. So this guy's arrested, right? This is interesting. Let's see if this guy has any tweets about the Michigan protesters that's negative, because I think it would make a good point. Or maybe he's just focused on... Let's just make sure, because this would be interesting. I'd be interested to see his opinion of the protesters in Michigan, but I think he just mainly focuses on Puerto Rico, judging by the judge. Yeah, pretty much. But so here you got a guy who's saying, "Hey man, this guy who's feeding the homeless, he's getting arrested for feeding the homeless, even though they're protesting the government's failure to feed students and provide assistance," which is a liberal position. The government is responding in the way the government responds, and that's with lethal force and arresting people. So here's an instance of a liberal being arrested because of police brutality. So see, it's colorblind. Police brutality, the oppression of the state government, is indeed a colorblind thing. And it just infuriates me, honestly, that someone like Prop, who I have a lot of respect for, by the way, Propaganda, I love his music. But when you start doing this liberal junk, it really, really bothers me. It really ticks me off. Let's go ahead and let's watch some more videos of the protesters. By the way, thanks to everybody in the the YouTube chat. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to go to youtube.com/crownrightsmedia and enter the chat that way. It's a way to guarantee that I'll read your comment. You can also send a super chat if you want. And you can insult me, Jim Bean, if you want me to read my own insults. Like Jim Bean's, "Your life is a joke. Give up." Thanks, Jim Bean. So, anyway, Anyway, yeah, so you can do that in the YouTube chat. Be sure to share this video. I got some other things I want to talk about tonight, but I definitely want to continue seeing what's going on here in with these armed protests. So it seems like this keyword arrest is Mayor of Walk. Is this all
directly to the kids? If you give it to the nonprofit, I cannot assure my people that they are going to have the food at the most near part of their home. That's why I'm just now.
Patriot Pep said you're doing great work. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you joining my chat, joining my live stream. Trying to find out some more stuff on this Michigan arrest. If you guys want to send me stuff, you can join the Discord. If you join the Discord, be sure to send me some stuff. Also, if you guys want to talk on the phone, if you disagree with something I've said, if you think I'm an idiot, if you want to troll me, if you want to have an actual voice conversation, you can feel free to join my Discord, Geneva 2.0, and we can have a conversation that way, actually over the phone and not just through chat. So somebody says, what's your take on the food shortages? I say we need to open up the government so that we don't have food shortage. It's going to get a lot worse. Look, guys, it's going to get a lot worse. It seems like Twitter has already removed the armed. Maybe I just need to just ARMED Michigan. My thoughts on the food shortages is that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, especially if people don't step up. These guys right here. Oh wow, yikes! Sorry about that. I didn't know what I didn't know what they were holding up. Apologies. It's live. It's a live show, guys. Patriot. I don't think they arrested anybody. Which is the reason they were there. Like, let's think about this. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was shot. Nobody was arrested. The government did not get to brutally attack private citizens today because there were armed men there. That's the point of the Second Amendment. Is to protect ourselves. It's not to start a war. The purpose of the Second Amendment is not vigilante justice. It's not to shoot first. It's not to go and start a rampage. It's to protect ourselves. The purpose of the Second Amendment is for self-defense. This is why we had the shot heard around the world. Why we talk about the shot heard around the world, because the founders of this nation, the colonists, did not want they did not want to be the ones that started the war. That was very important to them, and they wanted to make sure to honor God. And one of the ways you honor God is not starting a war. But once that shot was heard around the world, the Revolutionary War started. So the Revolutionary War was a defensive war against the oppression of the British against America. And it's so important to understand this. It's so important that we get this right. It is not a racist. White people who have guns are not racist. They care about the freedoms of a lot of people. They care about black people's freedoms, Asian people's freedoms, Indians people's freedom. They care about the freedoms of a lot of people. And my suggestion to you is, if you think these people are racist, go and stand beside them and see if they don't protect you from the government as well, because they certainly would. Walter Perkins says, if these were African American protesters with guns in a government building, what do you think would happen? Walter, I don't think anything would happen, because I don't think the reason these people aren't shot is because of the color of their skin. I think the reason these people aren't shot is because they have guns and they're using it. That's what I think. That's what I think. So again, thanks everybody for that's joining the Discord. If you'd like to call in, just go to the call in request channel on Discord and just send me a note, or just in the general message, just say I'll talk to you, and we'll have that conversation. I'd be interested in having that conversation with you guys, even if you disagree with me. Even Walter, who obviously disagrees with me in the in the YouTube chat right now. By the way, guys, if you're watching this on Facebook, you're missing out because the YouTube chat is popping right now. So just a thought. And another reason to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell. Walter says if they were black, the police would arrest them, right? No, not if they have guns. Like, this is the point. This is why white people aren't walking around with giant AK-47s and being protected because they're white. They're protected because they're walking around with giant AK-47s. And what black people have done is that they have voted for the Democrats, who have taken away their rights to own guns. The Democrats have used the drug war, and so have conservatives. Honestly, the conservatives have definitely used the drug war. But they've used the drug war as a way to give black people felonies and take away their rights to even own guns. Which I don't agree with, by the way. If you're a felon, I believe that you should be able to have a gun at some point. I believe that felons should be able to vote. I don't think you can take those rights away. But yeah, so anyway, Walter Perkins says, I disagree. They wouldn't be allowed in. Walter, you want to call me and have that conversation? Join my Discord. If you join my Discord, we can actually have a one-on-one. I would love to have this conversation with you in a kind and gracious way, but I think you're absolutely wrong about that. And perhaps one of the reasons why police brutality happens against black people, again, is because black people are, for the most part, unarmed. They've given in to the tyranny of the state. They've voted for Democrats. They've enslaved themselves. This is just the black community. This is what the black community has done. They've enslaved themselves. And so that's just how it is. So that's just how it is. But anyway, if you want to talk to me, if you want to have a conversation, that's fine. Nico says he'll talk. So Nico, I'm gonna send you a DM real quick, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start this call. We're gonna bring you on. Thank you, Nico, for being willing to have a conversation while we're waiting for Nico. While we're waiting for Nico to start, we're gonna play my jam. Hey, Nico, are you there? Hello? I feel like Nico is there, but I don't.
Hello?
Hey, Nico, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How's it going?
All right. Hey. What's going on?
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I was just that problem you were talking about yesterday where I can't keep the YouTube up. I put it on another screen and it was behind, so I thought you weren't calling yet. So
isn't it frustrating?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I actually am almost considering getting a premium because that sounds really good to just be able to keep it going.
Yeah, YouTube Premium is great. I think you can pop out the window in Facebook chat though. So
okay.
Or Facebook Messenger, I think you can pop it out. But anyway, my dad actually, just by the way, my dad's in the YouTube chat and he says, I open carry and I would protect everybody in the store that I was in if it was being robbed. Yep, I absolutely believe my dad would do that. But anyway, Nico, what do you want to talk about?
Hey, I've actually been watching your videos for a really long time, and I just wondered if I could just ask you, like, I feel like you have a ton of good things to say about like what the Bible says about like guns and stuff. So I like don't know enough, and I just wanted to like ask you. So just stop me whenever you want to go back to the regular thing, just because I don't want to hold up your time too much.
No, feel free, man. This show's about guns today, apparently. So,
sweet.
Thanks to Michigan.
And actually, I'm from Michigan, so that's why it's actually kind of coincidence.
Are you near the capital?
Yeah. I'm in Chelsea, so about an hour away, I think.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
anyway,
but I
what's your question?
Yeah. So one time I was telling somebody that point you had about how like guns help prevent the government from being tyrannical. And I was like, see, the government has these weapons, including like automatic weapons, so that's why we should have them too.
Right.
And they said, well, then should people be able to have like nuclear weapons and bombs and stuff like that? And I was just wondering like what you would say to that.
Well, my position is essentially like no one should have nuclear weapons.
Right.
But the purpose of weaponry is to mainly, at least for citizens to have weaponry, is to protect citizens from the government. So in order to do that, the citizens should have a right to bear any arm. And so even if that were to go to even if you say nuclear weapons, I would say, yeah, for sure. Look, people are going to find a way to build nuclear weapons on their own. That's right. I mean, people. North Korea will do it. Governments will do it. People will figure that out. What you want is the ability to protect yourself from those people with nuclear weapons,
right?
Those
yes.
psychopaths. And if that means the private citizens owning tanks and F-22 Raptors to do that, then I'm all for private citizens owning as much arms as they can. In fact, but I think that question is sort of it sort of assumes that the government should have those weapons in the first place. And like F-22 Raptors and all the aircraft carriers and all that. I think those should be privately run by individuals and militias. So ideally, what I would say is there shouldn't even really be a national military. There should be a bunch of militias. And so all the aircraft, ideally what I would say is all the aircraft carriers, secret technology, all that sort of thing should be in the hands of private citizens and not the government. So that's my ultimate theory is so to answer your question, yes, we should have tanks. No, the government should not.
Okay. Yeah, so, I'd certainly feel a lot safer if the government did not.
Right, exactly. That's exactly the point. So.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, he started. That same friend was saying like, because the government is so powerful already, we wouldn't win. So he was kind of trying to say, so there's no point in trying to hold on to what we still have. And I was like, well, I don't. That's just illustrating
the British
problem.
Government was incredibly powerful.
Right. That's right. That's exactly what I said. As I said, you're not looking to history right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. The point in a war like that, if we were to have like Civil War 2.0, the key difference between the sides is what they're fighting for, right? Mm-hmm. If we were to go to war for transgenders to have name recognition, I don't think the transgenders are going to, they're fighting for gender identity or whatever. I don't think that those people are going to have the will to fight as hard as those who are opposing it, because usually those whose philosophy and theology are right are going to fight a lot harder and risk a lot more.
Right.
They're fine arguing with it on Twitter, but they're not going to argue to the point of bearing arms, right? And so the ones that are willing, these guys like in Michigan that are willing to bear arms to protect people, they're going to sacrifice their lives and their families. So that's what I think about that. So.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And then I'm fine if you have to go, but I just said, and you just started talking about this, but like biblically, and then like if you don't, if we didn't know what the Bible says in like your opinion, what are there any cases where like people, any kind of person should not have a gun, or do you? Because I was kind of going around thinking like you just kind of said like everybody should be able to have one. Then you mentioned felons, so I was just wondering if you could talk about that, touching on like, is there any case with like background checks or anything like that? Because I don't think there is. I was just wondering what you'd like to say, because basically my point is I don't want to.
I don't think there should ever be a situation. Look, if you have a right to do something, it can't be taken away.
Right, that makes sense.
So I don't think I don't think that can be I don't think there's ever a situation where someone's guns can be taken away. Now you say, well, what about someone who's like, out of prison? Well, if he's out of prison, he's served his time. He should have a clean slate just like everybody else.
Right.
And when we create all these laws like parole laws, and they can't do this and they can't do that, and like all that, like you're just putting them in a situation where it's going to be a lot harder for them to like succeed in life. There's actually, it's weird, but there's actually a real good documentary, I think, by like Louis Theroux, and he was looking at like the government put like these child molesters in these like compounds because they can't be within like a certain radius of like, like a certain radius of like schools. They can't live in certain areas. Some apartment complexes won't, like, and they're sex offenders for life. So literally the government's taken away any possibility of them ever succeeding and doing anything after they've done their time. Now, I personally believe that they should have received the death penalty.
Yeah, right. Then you don't have that problem in the first place.
Right. You wouldn't have that problem in the first place. But if you're not going to do that, you can't just create these situations that make things worse or more unjust. So that's what I think. So
okay, thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you for your answers.
Yeah, man.
Love the show, and thanks for talking.
Thanks for calling in. Were you the one that said that you subscribed but it unsubscribed you?
No. No, I'm Nico.
Oh, okay. All right, man. Well, thanks, dude. Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
See, aren't Discords fun? I think it adds a different element to the show. So, let's see. I'm trying to see some more stuff in regards to, here we go. This is interesting. Armed man. Here we go. I'll pull this up. Armed man storming Michigan State Capitol left. Unarmed man arrested for demanding food for children in Puerto Rico. Right. Aside from the automatic weapons and the arrests, can you spot the difference? No. Here's the difference. The difference is that this guy is an armed man. He's not just one. Just be clear, he's not just one armed man. There's several armed men. Actually, if you just look at this photo, you see all the armed men all over the place, right? So the problem is, the reason he's being arrested by corrupt government officials is because he doesn't have a militia of armed men protecting him. So if you get mad because these men are not being arrested, but you don't want this man to be able to have guns without extreme government regulations, upping the cost of weapons and taxes and regulations, if you're going to prevent this man from arming himself, then this police brutality and government brutality is exactly what you get. So yeah. Walter Perkins says, so gay marriage can stay? What are you talking about? No, of course not. Of course it can't. There's no such thing as gay marriage. It's never even been here. It doesn't exist. I prefer the term gay mirage. So but yeah. So this is what's happening. This is what's happening in the United. What is National Guard? What is National Guard trending? Protesters don't storm state capitals. Protesters don't storm state capitals armed to the teeth for their freedom. Terrorists do. When terrorists invade, you call in the National Guard because they've created a war zone. They have not they've not created a war zone by having arms. That's not creating a war zone. What's creating a war zone are these police officers and government officials who are arresting citizens for running a business. That creates a war zone. So this is just it's really fascinating to read through this stuff. Let's see. What is this? Maryland Governor Larry Hogan on whether he was concerned that the federal government would seize the tests the state procured from South Korea. He says the tests are being guarded by the National Guard at an undisclosed location.
But based on my own reporting, you had some concerns about whether the feds would seize these tests when you brought them over from South Korea. Is that true? Were you concerned that the federal government would try to take those tests out of your hands?
Was a little bit of a concern about trying to get these things in. It was a very complicated process. You know, we spent about 22 days and nights dealing with this whole transaction with Korea. We dealt with the Korean embassy and folks at the State Department in Korea, 8 different state agencies, and our scientists on both sides trying to, figure out these tests. And then at the last moment, I think 24 hours before, we got sign off from the FDA and Border and Customs to try to make sure that we landed this plane safely. We made sure it landed at BWI Airport instead of Dulles. So it's the first time a Korean Air passenger plane has ever landed at Baltimore Washington International Airport. We landed it there with a large contingent of Maryland National Guard and Maryland State Police because this was an enormously valuable payload. It was like Fort Knox to us because it's going to save the lives of thousands of our citizens. And there had been reports of, for example, in Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker told the story of his plane load that came in with masks was basically confiscated by the federal government, and he had to then get Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, to fly.
That's a good use of the National Guard. But again, this is why the military should be, localized, so you can have like the National Guard and stuff like that protect the state from the federal government. Even if it's the federal government stealing your supplies. So I think that's actually fantastic. So shout out to him. But I would I also believe Maryland's a pretty liberal state, a very liberal state, I think. So I think he's probably a liberal too, which is interesting. Let's see. Is he a liberal? I don't know much about Larry Hogan. 62nd governor of the state, husband, dad, and granddad. Don't really know. See if he has some Planned Parenthood stuff and that's how you can tell. Huh? Well, he's on Trevor Noah. I don't know. I assume he's liberal. He's Maryland governor. Probably best buds with this dude Ralph Northam right here. Let's see what this guy's saying. Last week, Governor Larry Hogan, John Carney, and I asked the Trump administration for federal help in responding to the rising number of COVID-19 cases in our poultry facilities. I thank CDC for responding quickly. The team of epidemiologists, contact tracers, language specialists is now on the ground and visited both large plants on the Eastern Shore today. They are working with local health departments. I don't like him. He's not fun. Look at these dudes, man. These dudes are ready. That's what I'm talking about. Who else do we have here? Look at that.
Fever, chills, body aches, headaches, and the sore throat.
But by the way, to all these people talking about what about where's all the black people at? Here you go, right here. I believe is David Clark. He's a black man. Yeah. So there you go. So there you go, right there. Look, the man's got bulletproof vests. He's ready to go. He's standing right beside some men that are there to protect him too. So it's just lies. It's just a bunch of lies is what it is. Walter Perkins says all the countries that locked down early and did social distancing have beaten COVID-19. New Zealand and Australia, for example. So if COVID-19 comes in a second wave, whose fault is it, Obama or Trump? Walter, I'm not even. Who's talking about either of them? I don't like either of them. Why did you only give me 2 options there? How about I would argue that South Dakota, who did not lock down their state at all, is actually doing pretty good right about now. they're doing fine. And the surrounding states of South Dakota, like Minnesota, for example, have tremendous populations of COVID-19. It's because you're not letting any of them, people build up your own immunity. We're too scared of our nation are such cowards that we're afraid of getting sick. I mean, the founders of this country, think about this. The founders of this country were in England, and they got on a boat knowing that many of their children would die just on the way over here. And they landed, they survived the winter. Many of their family members died through the winter. And then those that were left built some of the first colonies. But they thought that it was worth it. In the long run, they thought it was worth it to risk their life so that their families would be free. And that the first sign of a little bug, the first little sign of a virus or a flu or whatever it is, COVID-19, the first sign of it, we completely lock down and surrender all the freedoms we have. That's what I call cowardly, Walter Perkins. That's a cowardly act, a cowardly thing to do. So it seems most of the gun people are Trump people. Yeah. So you don't have to be a Trump supporter to be a gun supporter. But the problem is that Democrats want to take away people's guns. Look, this is a very simple thing. Trump's gun supporters are Trump supporters. Okay, look, here's the thing. If I like Coca-Cola and there's a political party that says we're going to ban Coca-Cola, well, guess what? I'm not going to be a supporter of the anti-Coca-Cola party. I'm going to be a supporter of the ones who support gun rights or Coca-Cola rights, as you would say. It's pretty simple, Walter. This is not big brain thinking. So yes, the people that like guns support the guy who likes guns. But by the way, I would just say that Donald Trump is not very good for gun laws. He has endorsed red flag laws and some other gun regulations which I don't agree with. So hey Walter, why don't you actually call me on the Discord? Let's have a one-to-one voice conversation. You want to do that? Because I'm not gonna read your chats all day. It's not fun for everybody else, and it's far more entertaining to actually have an actual voice conversation. So if you want, here's the link to the Discord. You can join the Discord, but if not, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to people who actually want to have a conversation. So I think that's only fair to people. They don't want to hear me responding to a chat person. It's just not as entertaining. It's just not as entertaining. Somebody say sent you something on Discord with has a source in the description. Is that are you Yoshi?
Such as the freedom to leave your home, you're probably going to find this court order somewhat frustrating to read.
It's a 15-minute long video, man.
Viva Fry Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, another day in lockdown, video. And another...
My dad says he agrees with the red flag laws. Sorry, Dad, I have to disagree with you there. I don't think the government should say that you're crazy. I don't want the government determining what is crazy and what's not crazy and taking guns away. Somebody says Second Amendment will not be infringed. Thanks, Jonathan. I agree. It should not be infringed. Hey, I want to watch a 15-minute video, whoever said this. But let's see. You know what's weird? Do you guys... Oh, you guys aren't even seeing that video because I was in the wrong browser that's not being screen shared. Whoopsie.
Fair warning. If you
hey, whoever sent this video, if there's like a relevant time, I'll do that, but I don't want to sit through a whole 15-minute video. Hey, we got a super chat from the one and only Laura Pittman, who, by the way, is a beautiful and amazing wife, and she likes to launder our money. Thanks for the super chat. She says, how many elected Democrat officials do you think actually have guns in their houses? I'm pretty sure it's 100% of them. They just won't tell you that. I kind of agree. I think Democrats own guns just as much as conservatives do. They just hide it better. So, okay, yeah. Thanks Mario for the video. Oh, look at this, COVID 1984. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I don't know. Let's see. Patriot Pep has joined. Patriot Pep would like to talk. New subscriber. Well, hey, Patriot Pep. Thanks for joining. Let's bring you in. While we're waiting for Patriot Pep to answer the phone, we'll just jam, slow jam. Hey, Patriot Pep, how are you doing? Are you there? Hello?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey, what's up, man? What do you want to talk about?
I'm sorry, my voice might sound kind of funny, but it's first time doing this. So I was wondering your opinion or what you think about the QAnon.
Yeah, man, I'm not really big into the conspiracy theory stuff. I think there's a lot of truth to it. So, like, for instance, I think, like, Pizzagate and all that other stuff is, like, I think there's a lot of validity to a lot of that stuff. But
Right.
then at the same time, like, I've seen that documentary that just came out. I forget the name of it. The documentary that just came out. I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a lot of truth to it, but there's also a lot of really weird stuff. Like, for example, there's like a scene where the guy's like, television channels,
Right.
programming. And it's like, well, that's not really an argument. That's just, you just don't like the words they use.
Right.
So there's a lot of silly stuff in there, but I think there's a lot of stuff that is actually pretty credible. Like a lot of the CIA stuff. But then again, like, so I believe that in order to like accuse people of stuff, we need to have like 2 to 3 witnesses. And I think there's a lot of things that there are multiple witnesses. For example, there's a lot of evidence, more than enough evidence that like Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein went to this island. But there's again no evidence as to what they did there, at least not yet. We can only imagine. So that's I just try to be cautious.
Sorry.
A lot of the QAnon stuff tends to like sort of dive into like Masonic interpretation of symbols and numbers, and like the QAnon posts were like posted at a certain time and a certain date, and if you take those numbers of the time and date, it means
gematria?
Yeah, like all that stuff. Like, I'm just not buying that. Yeah, you guys are trying too hard.
Yeah. There are a lot of interesting so-called Q proofs, like when he said or posted something, and then the same day Donald Trump, tweets the same exact thing, phrase or whatever he posted.
Yeah, but a lot of it too is like not too hard to like predict. So in terms of like, in terms of like the basic psychic level reading stuff, like you can probably predict most of it. Like it's not that difficult. I did like initially, like there was some good evidence that the Q posts were from somebody within the Trump administration, and I'd be willing to concede that there just isn't, like, it's just not really going anywhere, and it's been too long, So like, I mean, I hope the Q stuff is right. I think that'd be amazing, and I hope that justice is brought to that. But yeah, I'm just not a big conspiracy theory guy. I don't think conspiracy theory fits in with the laws of biblical evidence as well as they should. But hey, man, it was great to talk to you. Thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing and joining the Discord and calling in. I really appreciate it.
One last thing.
Okay.
So what do you normally like averagely post on your channel? Because I hit the bell and everything. I just want to know stuff you get into. I know it's difficult.
Well, I'm trying to stream every day this week just because I'm trying to get people like to bring awareness to what's happening with the government and shutting everything down like they're doing. But I usually at least stream like once a week, mainly on Thursday nights.
Contents wise, like what do you normally talk about? Or I know you said government.
Yeah, we talk about government and politics and what the Bible says about government and politics. Pretty much, that's what we talk about.
Oh, gotcha. Alrighty. Well, I just wanted to ask that, and thank you. You're doing a great job. And,
hey, man, thanks. I really appreciate it, man. I'm always happy to introduce myself to a new subscriber. It's really great and brings me a lot of joy. Yeah. So thank you for subscribing and tell your friends.
Of course. Do you have a place where I can donate?
You can just do the super chat. Yep.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty. You have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Patriot Pep. Really appreciate it, man. That's fun. A new subscriber. It's really great. Makes me excited. I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much, Patriot Pep. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you a lot more. We got a super chat from Father Steve Macias. Thank you so much, Steve. Haven't spoken to you in a long time. Hope you're doing well. 99-cent super chat. That's what I'm talking about. It used to get you a cheeseburger. I don't even think it can do that now. But it used to be 99 cents. You could get a cheeseburger. You could feed your family. I got a cheeseburger the other day, and it was $1.99, and I was like, that's like double what it used to be. So anyway, that's why the cheeseburger thing popped into my mind, because I realized that the price of meat has doubled recently. Thanks so much, man. Thanks so much, Steve. So, oh man, what is going on, guys? What is going on with our? You know what? Let's talk about. Let's see. I have this stuff pulled up. I actually made a notepad today. Let's talk about Knox County, shall we? By the way, if you guys see any updates. Any updates regarding what's happening in Michigan, feel free to send them in the Discord. Let me know. And by the way, if you want to join the Discord, feel free. You can join the Discord by clicking on the link in the YouTube chat that just popped up. And from there, you can just say you want to talk, and just for the record, we'll post the link everywhere else. If anybody else wants to join the Discord, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. Feel free to join. Having a good time. We're having a good time. We're just having a casual conversation. There's no structure to the show tonight. Just send me articles, join the Discord, let's talk, let's have a conversation. If you agree with me or disagree with me or think I'm a joke, just feel free to join the Discord and have a conversation. Pretty simple. I'll bring you in. It's a mystery. It's a live show. Who knows what we'll get? We don't know. But anyway. Spiro Corbett said, this show is really, really, really lowbrow. I'm out. Well, thanks for tuning in, even just for a minute. He says, hey, YouTuber, you need to go learn a bit more of the esoteric world. You need to go out and look up. I'm not going to say that guy's name. I don't even know who it is. This guy is not very smart, and his broadcast is totally for the left-brained world. Well, that's weird, because I'm a pretty right-brained guy. I pretty much don't have a left brain. But thanks for your comment, Spyro. Really appreciate really appreciate the insult, I guess. I guess you're not here to watch it, to me respond to your comment, but so this is I don't know if anybody, if you guys that are watching have done like open air preaching. The YouTube chat is like the hecklers. Like when you're out at a college and you get this guy and like he's just like heckling you to death. That is the YouTube chat, man. It is the heckle police. And I don't take them seriously. I don't let them get to me. I don't let them bug me. I just don't. But hey, what's up, David? Welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining in. What were we going to talk about? Oh, yes, of course. Knox County. Oh, the great free state of Knox County. Look at this, guys. If you guys... Where is it? I know it's here. I know it's here. I saw it. General businesses, phase 1. Oh, it's just farther down. I know it's here somewhere. Schools, gym, fitness, theaters, museums, schools, outdoor spaces and recreation, community gathering spaces. I guess you guys should want to see what I'm scrolling through, huh? Transportation, interpersonal gatherings, mass gatherings, phase 2, phase 3. Where is it? I know it's on this. I saw it earlier today. Sports related, religious related, not open in phase 1. This is what they have on here when I find it. Theaters, museums, gyms, fitness studios, retailers, salons, restaurants, office settings. Well, I thought it was on this form. Maybe I went past it. No. That's so weird. Well, I have to be, I know, this is the most unprofessional thing in the world. I know. It doesn't make for good content. You're not going to get super chats this way. I can see the trolls. Hey, but I just did. From Patriot Pep. I wasn't expecting that. He sent $12.33. He says, great job and keep up the awesome work, my man. And I plan on joining every live stream from here on out. God bless America. Patriot. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you so much for the super chat. That motivates me to keep going and do these things, and it makes my wife happy. So every time you send me a super chat, it makes my wife happy. Oh, here it is. I knew I passed it. Wait, they removed it. They removed it. No, that's what happened. They updated it. See state. No, okay, so this is why I couldn't find it. So look, this is the same. I saw this forum today. I went through this PDF today. I'm not making this up. I'm not. But on here was all the regulations of what the state, what religious institutions could do. If you're watching this, yeah. So Zach says it was on page 25 or 26. There's 24. Mass religious. It just says not open. So no, see, I saw this today. I've seen this. This is because I was looking for a full page with all the specs on it. And I was looking through this today, and it actually had all those requirements there. And they're gone. They got rid of it. I'm not making this up. So, anyways, I just think that's very strange and interesting, I guess. Sad. Where it says FAQ for faith leaders from New York City. But I don't care about New York City because this is Knox County, Tennessee. Like the website literally says, like I'm really not making this up. It was right here. Can somebody send me? I know there's photos on Twitter. Maybe if I just search on Twitter. let's see, Knox County, Tennessee. Let's see. There has to be. Where? Oh, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like Knox County had all these religious requirement stuff for like what the church could and couldn't do, and it was on that form, and now it's gone. Can somebody please send me a screenshot of that? I know I really wanted to talk about it today. That's why I saved the link. I saved the link. And they went and updated it because they're cowards. Here we go. Oh, you know what? I saved another link. Maybe this has a story on it. Who do they think they are? Knox County, Tennessee bans communions, hymnals, and even Bibles at church. But yeah, there's not a screenshot. So here we go. It says the order, and you go here, and it had everything on it, and they've updated it, kept the name of the place the same. Restaurants, bars, food truck, office settings, salons, spas, tattoos, retailers, gyms, theaters, museums, schools, outdoor sports and recreation, community gathering places, places of worship. All those guidances were listed right here. Looks like Knox County's running scared, man. Knox County is running scared. Hey, I can't see screenshots on Facebook, by the way. So if you send me a screenshot, it has to be through a private message. Just it won't show up. I won't be able to see it on the Facebook chat. But yeah, I know it was here. I know for certain. Now, let me just type in Knox County worship. So weird. Oh. So this is, okay, wait. This is incorrect. Sorry for the confusion. Knox County will not issue any mandates. Wait, what happened? No, stop. Stop. Where'd it go? Where'd that link go? I just saw it. Did you guys just see that? Here we go. That is incorrect. Sorry for the confusion. Knox County will not issue any mandates concerning religious ceremonies, places of worship, etc. Any guidance that you might see should be considered best practices and not mandates. Why does it keep doing that? Well, first off, we know that the government only issues mandates. It's the only thing the government does. They don't know how to do anything else. Their requests cannot be followed. Who is Glenn Jacobs? He has a blue check mark. So let's see. Proud resident of East Tennessee, small husband, liberty lover, Knox. Oh, he's the mayor of Knox County. It's the mayor of Knox County. Oh, look at you. You snake. So this is the article that talked about them banning these things. And he says that is incorrect. But look, guys, it was listed right here. All of those requirements are right. Somebody, please, if you're watching this, please send me that screenshot right away because I want to send it to him. I want to send it to him. Please? Can somebody send me that screenshot? I don't know where to find it. I know people send it to me. Marcus, there's a difference between Knox County and the city of Knoxville. Well, I know. I'm only talking about Knox County. Oh, is this? No, this is Knox County and the city of Knoxville. that Glenn Jacobs is the Knox County mayor. Did I accidentally say Knoxville? Maybe I did. I meant Knox County. But yeah, it's Knox County. So thanks for inboxing me. Here we go. Here it is. I knew it. Let's pull this up, shall we? I'm going to give this to you guys really quickly. Hold on. It's worth the wait, I promise you. It's worth the wait, I promise you. Here it is. So, can we scale this up some? In a way that doesn't make it 100. Oh, the quality of this is that of a potato. Okay, here we go. Here's the proof, guys. So I'm not doing some crazy conspiracy theory stuff. I want you to know, here it is. Continue to follow the general guidelines for everyone throughout all the phases. Oh, stop. I just wanted to scroll. I didn't want to. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Continue to follow the general guidelines for everyone throughout all phases, pages 14 through 16. Continue offering video streaming options for as long as possible. Encourage their use by higher-risk individuals who live with or care for higher-risk individuals, and those who are ill. Only core worship services are permitted in Phase 1. First off, let's just start there. The government has no authority to determine what a core worship service actually is. They don't have the authority to do that. And we shouldn't let them, by the way. The very fact that they even said only core worship services are permitted in Phase 1. Okay, interesting. Check that out. So that says only core services are permitted in Phase 1. And then the mayor, let's see. Let's go back because we just saw that. The mayor, Knox County Worship, latest. Glenn Jacobs. So Glenn Jacobs says, okay, yeah. Sorry for the confusion. Knox County will not issue any mandates. They should be considered best practices and not mandates. And then, why does it? Oh, it's because of that. Okay. And then it says right here, only core worship services are permitted. So they're saying, oh, no, guys, they're just requests. This is what the government does, right? We're just asking you nicely. We're just asking you. We're just smiling. We're just asking you nicely. We got that Joel Osteen face. We're just asking you nicely. Only core worship services are permitted in Phase 1. Activities such as groups and classes, youth services, social events, potlucks, communal snacks, or food and nursery are not permitted in Phase 1. It's not permitted that you take communion. It's not committed. It's not. Okay, I got tongue-tied. It's not permitted that you take communion or take part in the Lord's Supper. You're not allowed to do it. If on-site services are provided, limit the number of congregants to 50% capacity. Based on seating capacities, places of worship should offer multiple worship sessions. Maintain physical distancing when entering and leaving the building. Do not physically embrace or shake hands with others. I'm going to tell you right now, the government tells you you can't hug people at church. You hug people at church. You just give them the biggest bear hug. You extend the greeting time in church for another 15 minutes. That's how you respond to that one right there. You start. You know what? If the government's going to tell me that I can't hug brothers at church, I'm outright going to start greeting people with a brotherly kiss. That's just going to be my response. So apologies to everyone at Apologia Church. But if the governor of Arizona says that I can't hug people at church, the next week my brothers are getting kissed on the cheek. Every one of them. Look, I'm not down for kissing brothers I'm not down for that thing. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna protest the government, and that's the only way I see a valid protest of that one. The physical taking of communion. Holy cow, mouse. The physical taking of communion/sacrament should not be performed due to the serial breaking of physical distancing across the congregation. Consider guiding parishioners and how to connect with the spiritual aspect of these practices during the phase. Okay, first off, let me tell you, Pastor Government. The pastor government is trying to tell you that you need to look at the spiritual aspects of taking communion. What are they? So look, okay. So they're trying to make the case that the actual physical act. This is the government telling you this, by the way. The actual physical act of taking communion doesn't matter. Just think about the spiritual aspects of it. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, it makes sense when you consider, grape juice versus wine. I mean, if you can go from wine to grape juice, then why not just go to imagining communion altogether? Oh, David says they had communion during the Black Plague. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, David. Here's an interesting story about the Black Plague that a lot of people don't know. Ligonier wrote an article about it. I wonder if it's still up. I wonder. You know what? Let's actually. I think we should pull that up. John. It was. I just looked up John Calvin Black Plague. Yeah, this is it. Serving Christ in a Time of Plague. Now this, by the way, this was written in May 3rd, 2009, right here. And this is the quote. It's a pretty simple blog. It's just very simple. It says, during Calvin's ministry, Geneva was terrorized by the plague on 5 occasions. During the first outbreak in 1542, Calvin personally led visitations into plague-infected homes. Knowing that this effort likely carried a death sentence, the city fathers intervened to stop him because of their conviction that his leadership was indispensable. The pastors continued this heroic effort under Calvin's guidance, and they recounted the story of multiple conversions. Many pastors lost their lives in this cause. Unknown to many, Calvin privately continued his own pastoral care in Geneva and other cities where the plague raged. Calvin's pastoral heart, already evidenced by the provision of hospitals for both citizens and immigrants, was further revealed as he collected the necessary resources to establish a separate hospital for plague victims. When believers died, he preached poignant funeral homilies with passion and personal concern. John Calvin, A Heart for Doctrine and Devotion by Buck Parsons. So, this was in 2009, by the way, well before COVID. May 3rd, 2009. You have this. And actually, Cy Tim Bruggenkate's pastor, or the pastor of the church that he's attending, was telling me this story, and I decided to Google it to see if it was true, and I got this from Ligonier, which, by the way, I believe Ligonier is actually not meeting, or St. Andrews is not meeting because of the plague. But on here, you see that Calvin was actually instructed. So the way this pastor told me was, he said that he was actually preaching the gospel to people with the Black Plague, and his elders or leadership actually said that it was irresponsible for him to do that because he was going to get other people sick, or that he would get sick, and so what Calvin did was he snuck out in the middle of the night, and he would go and preach the gospel to the people with the Black Plague. So this is crucial, guys. By the way, if you want to find it, it's Serving Christ in a Time of Plague, and if you go to Ligonier's website, it's there. It's from 2009. I was worried that it would have been deleted, but they still have it up. I think we should start sharing the heck out of this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to post a link to this article so that it goes where it needs to go. And then you guys, I think we just need to share this. This is absolutely critical. Cy Tim Bruggencate joined. Hey, Cy, how you doing? I miss you. Why haven't you live streamed yet, Cy? I want to see your live streams, man. Get on it. Get on it. So I sent that link. Everybody share that link, man. I think that just is really encouraging to me, just to see that. Knowing that his effort likely carried a death sentence, the city fathers intervened to stop him because of their conviction that his leadership was indispensable. The pastors continued this heroic effort under Calvin's guidance, and they recounted the joy of multiple conversions. So, and so, unknown to many, Calvin privately continued his own pastoral care in Geneva and other cities where the plague raged. So what Calvin did was he snuck out in the middle of the night. Even against the advice of the leadership, and he still continued to preach the gospel. So for all those people that are saying we just need to obey the government, they're looking out for our best interest. If they want us to shut down the church, we should shut down the church. And, Calvin would have said no. Calvin would have snuck out and shared the gospel anyway. So I hope that encourages you. I know there's like people out there that's just like thinking, am I crazy? Like, I feel like, I know I've felt this over the past few weeks. You just feel like, am I the crazy one for thinking that churches should not be shut down during a time of plague or famine or disease, plague or disease? Am I the crazy one? And just to know that someone like John Calvin was sneaking out in the middle of the Black Plague to preach the gospel to people, man, that should motivate us, man, to gather for worship. If anything motivates us to gather for worship, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I mean, just think about what the Covenanters went through, man. The Covenanters in Scotland, there were two twins, and they went and they took these twins and they told them to deny the gospel and to support the Catholic Church, and they refused to do so. So they tied them up and stuck them in the ocean and waited for high tide to drown them. I mean, that's the sort of stuff the Covenanters went through. And the government killed thousands of Covenanters. And they suffered immensely. But they were still committed to worship. They weren't afraid. They weren't afraid at all. So, yeah, so let's share this article. Let's share this article, and just in case, I don't think Ligonier is going to take this down. Ligonier is pretty great, awesome ministry. But I'll just leave it up there, guys, and if we have to come back to it, we can screenshot it later, right? We can screenshot it later. We got it right there. So it's there. It is forever on the internet now, through my live streams anyway. But yeah, so I think that is just absolutely incredible, man. And you see missionaries of the past, man, they're risking their lives. They're visiting tribes that have never seen the gospel. The pastor of the church that Sai's attending at right now is telling me some amazing stories about how he was with a missionary group in the jungle in Mexico, and they were one of the first people to reach these unreached people groups, these tribes. And one of the groups chased them out with wooden bows as they're running through the forest. They're being chased away from this tribe. And then another tribe, the church is still there today. So that's pretty cool, pretty awesome. You just think about, maybe we don't. Maybe the reason maybe the reason we don't have a strong view of risking our lives to go to church is because, for the most part, the American church isn't evangelistic and mission driven like it used to be. And instead, the churches have outsourced evangelism and ministry to like the North American Mission Board or the International Mission Board. We've outsourced it to the professionals. We've given it over to the qualified people to do evangelism and ministry. And maybe perhaps that's why we're not willing to risk our lives for the sake of the gospel anymore. And when a flu comes, bug comes, virus comes, whatever you want to call it, maybe that's why we're willing to shut down so quickly. Because 99% of Christians in America have not risked their lives for the sake of the gospel. 99% of Christians in America have not had a gun pointed at them or waved at them when they're preaching the gospel. I have. But most people haven't. So when the government comes and says, hey, you guys need to shut down or what are they going to do? Give you a fine? Then that's just what happens. We just cower down. We shut down. We don't have any boldness, no courage anymore. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, man, it's time for the churches. You got to start opening up. We got to open up. We really do. Like, there's got to be a point, especially talking to churches in the liberal states like New York and California, specifically those two states. You're going to have to open up. And I really pray if you're in one of these churches in California, if you're in one of these churches in New York or some other state where going to church is Knox County, Tennessee, if you're in one of these areas, I really, really do pray that you guys open up. Because there has to be a defying of the government. There's got to be a point where the church says no more. And I honestly don't know where that is. I would have thought it would have been a month ago. But here we are, a month later, and churches are still closed. My church in Virginia, still closed. They're all still closed. And it's just, at some point, you have to reopen up in defiance of the government, or we need to cease being a church. You just need to stop, because your live stream is not church. The live stream is not church. I'm sorry, guys. It's not. The drive-in stuff is great. But I think when the Bible says, and I was joking about greeting each other with a friendly kiss or brotherly kiss, when the Bible says that, I think there is legitimately something supernatural and spiritual about being together, shaking people's hands, being in their presence, getting hugs from people. The Bible talks about laying hands, elders laying hands on each other. There is a significance to that sort of affection and love. And when we don't have that, the church, sitting in your car for these drive-in church services is just not it's not going to last forever, guys. It's not going to last forever. But I'm going to tell you this. This is what I do believe. Once the churches in California and New York start to defy the government, Other churches will do the same. I really believe other churches. It won't be long. And the church that does it first, I think they're gonna receive all the benefits and all the encouragement and support that they could ever want. But once the first church does it, the other churches will follow. Just like when the churches publicly shut down in California, when those churches shut down, every other church shut down. All it took was one. And when that one church shut down, everybody else had no problem following in line. All over the country, by the way, not just in California, all over the country. And so when those churches decide we're going to go back no matter what the government says, I believe the other churches will do the same. And that's great news, man. That is fantastic. I really can't wait to see churches start to do that. Let's see what this article is. This is an article that I pull. Oh yes. Yes. Let me pull this article up real quick. It's Emotions Run High as mayor of Grants defies governor's order and allow businesses to reopen. Let's watch this, shall we?
Mayor of Grants is openly encouraging businesses to defy the governor's public health order. Today, state police were called to 8 businesses in that area. At least half of them weren't breaking any rules, though. One was given a citation, another a cease and desist. Meanwhile, Mayor Martin Hicks appears to have a lot of support in his city as economic pressure, of course, continues to build for a lot of New Mexicans. But our Ryan Laughlin shows us not everybody in Grants is on board.
So we interviewed the mayor right behind me here, and when we did, an impromptu gathering kind of just happened around us, and most of the people were supporting, but at least one person wanted to challenge the mayor.
This is about the Constitution of this country, period. It's about our livelihoods. It's about our liberties. It's about our rights, and we will not compromise them no more to a tyrant insanity.
Look at this. Look at this mayor, man. Look, guys, if you don't think you got the look to be a mayor, this right here should prove you wrong. This actually makes me want to run for mayor. Look at that beard on that guy. Hey, look, man, if he can do it, I can do it. This man looks like he drove into the office on a motorcycle, man. He probably really did too. Oh, that's awesome. Way to go, dude. Look, guys, you can be a mayor if you want.
Right after Grants Mayor Martin Hicks said that,
say again?
One woman asked,
why does Mama take the Grants? Let it just stay home for a couple more weeks.
Can we
check it out. My revenues are down by 30%. I'm going to lay off people in this town. Oh, yeah. You don't want to hear.
After Grants Mayor Martin Hicks said that,
say again?
One woman asked,
why does Mama take the Grants? Let it just stay home for a couple more weeks.
Check it out. My revenues are down by 30%.
Okay. She said, why do you want to spread it? Just stay home for a couple of weeks. And he goes, check it out, my revenue.
I'm going to lay off people in this town. Oh, yeah, you don't want to hear that, do you?
No,
all you want to do is come and
stay away from me.
Am I with you? Am I near you? You're the one that's coming over here.
Stay away from me. You want to spread a bunch of disease. Way to go, Albuquerque, the mayor of Grants. He's not the Albuquerque mayor. He's the mayor of Grants, New Mexico. Way to go, dude. Why do everybody send the mayor of Grants some love and support, man. That's fantastic. That is awesome. Let's see. She says, what the governor is doing wrong, said Mayor Martin Modley Hicks. Wait, what the governor's... Oh, okay. So his name is Modi Hicks. Martin Modi Hicks. Mayor Modi? Okay. What timeline are we in? This is fantastic. And that's why we're standing up against it. Several businesses opened, including a gun store and a city-operated golf course. Come play golf, Hicks encouraged. However, New Mexico State Police quickly put a stop to the golfing. Officers issued a cease and desist order to the golf course. State police say they will be going to businesses when they receive a complaint. Who are these state police officers, man? Like, who are these state police officers that's like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna shut you down. We're gonna shut you down. You guys are cool. They're hall monitors, man. Remember the hall monitors in high school? You have a restroom pass? Where's your restroom? I want to see your restroom pass. They became state police officers in New Mexico. That's who they are now. In Grants Monday, police said they received multiple complaints, but they only had to hand out one citation, in addition to cease and desist orders at the golf course. Yeah. We only did an unbelievable amount of tyranny one time, guys. It was only once. So, why do you want to take the chance to spread it? A woman said as she confronted the mayor. Just stay home for a couple of weeks. Actually, it was more like, why do you want to take the chance to spread it? Just stay home a couple more weeks. That's what it is. All right, Karen. Am I going to be responsible for the deaths? No, he said. How am I going to be responsible for something that's already in my town? Great point, man. You didn't bring it there. So, yeah. So, way to go to the mayor of Grant. And to this Karen, in the words of John MacArthur.
Go home.
Go home, Karen. Look, if you're so worried about getting the disease, if you're so worried that you're going to be contagious, if you're or get contaminated, if you're so worried about that, just stay home. There's this lady that argues with me on Twitter all the time. She says, I don't love my neighbor. I don't care about the immunocompromised. All I care about is making money, becoming filthy rich, having people work. Meanwhile, people are going to die. People are going to die, right? Like, that's all she complains about all the time. People are going to die. But the truth is, for a feminist like her, like, I don't understand why she feels the need that she can only stay home when a man tells her to. The governor of Arizona, Ducey. If you're really a feminist, you wouldn't stay home when a man tells you to stay home, right? Like that feminism doesn't stay home when men tell them to stay home. Especially when the government tells them to stay home. Stay in your kitchen, says Governor Ducey to all the feminists, and the feminists go, okay. Maybe that's how we get women back in the house again, really. Maybe this is a... Next time you got an angry... Maybe next time you have an angry feminist just yelling and screaming, talking about... and reeing about how she shouldn't be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, just sneeze. Just sneeze. That's how you get the feminists to go home. You sneeze. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's it's fantastic. That's what I'm doing, man. Next time a feminist gets mad because I want to go outside, I'm just gonna sneeze and tell them to go home. Oh man, you know what? Let's see if there's been any updates on the armed protesters, and I know that's what we've been talking about. Let's see. let's see what this article says right here. Hundreds protest in Michigan seeking end to governor's emergency powers. Hundreds of protesters, some armed, gathered in Michigan's state capital in Lansing on Thursday, objecting to Governor Gretchen Whitmer's request to extend emergency powers to combat COVID-19 as an appeal Republican lawmakers ignored. The protest appeared to be the largest in the state since April 15th, when supporters of President Donald Trump organized thousands of people for Operation Gridlock, jamming the streets of Lansing with their cars to call out what they said was the overreach of Whitmer's strict stay-at-home order. The slow reopening of the state economies around the country has taken on political overtones. Well, that's as Republican politicians and individuals affiliated with Trump's... Did they not think that shutting down the economy would take on political overtones? Of course it would. Many people at Thursday's American Patriot Rally, including militia group members carrying firearms and people who, with pro-Trump signs, appear to be ignoring. Like, it's almost like they're derogatory terms. People with pro-Trump signs and militia group members carrying firearms. Like, they throw that out there like it's a bad thing. Oh, man. Let's see. State authorities have warned that protesters could be ticketed for violating social distancing rules. The mayor of Lansing said in a statement on Wednesday that he was disappointed protesters would put themselves and others at risk, but recognized that Whitmer's order still allowed people to, quote, exercise the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Well, thank God. I mean, look at how this guy is so tied down. The mayor of Lansing is like, look, guys, there's just nothing I can do because the mayor's order allows people to exercise their freedom, exercise their First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Imagine if it didn't, the mayor of Lansing would be shutting down people's freedom of speech. It's insane. These people are insane. Are you guys angry? I really hope you guys are, because we have to be angry about this sort of stuff. This stuff is getting out of hand. It's getting out of control. It's really starting, like, every day it's something new. And we're not, look, I know it's hard to understand, but we're not talking about a fine here or a regulation here. We're talking about the government legitimately imprisoning people in their homes. Literally stopping churches from gathering to worship. Literally shutting everything down. Like, if this doesn't make you angry, like, what is it going to take? And I'd like to ask a question to the pastors of churches out there who shut down. Probably in good faith, I would say. At what point do you open back up? Like, at what point do you go, as a pastor, I cannot allow my church to shut down any longer? Like, at what point? What point is that for you? I don't know. I don't know, like, what it's like. I don't know what it's gonna take for people, for people to, like, really put an end to this. I really hope that at some point churches and pastors start to really resist this government tyranny. You know, as R.C. Sproul says,
what's wrong with you people?
There's souls at stake. There's souls. We're talking about souls here. I believe is the story of R.C. Sproul when he jumped up on the table and said, we're talking about souls here. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. So, hey, by the way, if you guys want to talk, if you guys want to join the chat, feel free to join the Discord. I sent a link out. You click on the link and you join the Discord and just let me know. Hey, I would like to talk, and then I'll go ahead and give you a dial, and we'll go ahead and have that conversation, shall we? I hope you guys are enjoying these live streams, by the way. I didn't know what I could do. I don't have a very big platform. I don't have a giant audience. I don't have the ability to really gain the attention of the world by my tweets or anything like that. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to live stream every night this week. It's the one thing I can do. And it seems like you guys are enjoying it. You guys are watching it with me. I just want to say I really appreciate every time you guys share, every time you subscribe on YouTube, every time you send a super chat. Means everything to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for the people that send me private messages talking about how the show has blessed them and encouraged them and motivated them. Those are all things that really, I really do want you guys to be entertained and have fun, but I also want you guys to be motivated and to know what the Bible says and know how you guys can you could. It looks like we have somebody in the general voice chat. Let's see if we can. I don't have the voice chat set up. But if you want to talk, man, just join the call-in request channel, and I'll bring you in. I'll bring you in. I think it was General Sage or something like that. But yeah, so just go ahead and feel free if you want to join. We can have that conversation. Saitin Bergenkate just said yet. I don't know what that's in reference to. Maybe you can let me know, Sai. I always value your opinion. So, but again, no, I really do think, I really do think, that I really do appreciate you guys like taking the time to watch my show. Also, just sharing the show, telling other people to watch, or just sharing my YouTube channel. All those sort of things really matter a whole bunch to me, and I'm really encouraged by it. So, someone says, is a church you go to worth going back to when they shut down for nothing and continue to remain closed when the facts are out and clear? To that I say, yes, your church is worth going back to. This isn't a damnable thing that's happening. In some instances it might be. I don't know your particular situation. I imagine, especially with the mega churches, I'm sure there's some mega churches out there where the pastor just realizes he can just talk in front of his iPhone for 20 minutes and not have to put together a massive stage show every week. I'm sure he's kind of enjoying the vacation. I'm sure in instances like that, if that's true, if that's happening, I'm sure there's some that are like, man, this is great. I hope this stays for a long time. I'm sure that happens. But in general, no, you should return to your church. You should motivate and encourage your pastors to return to worship. Those are all things that should be done. We shouldn't abandon churches that have shut. I mean, honestly, if you abandon churches that have shut down, like what's like there's. I mean, I can only think of like a few churches that haven't shut down. Very few. And I'm blessed to be at one that has not shut down. And I don't think will. So that's my thoughts. Oh, Sai says I don't have a worldwide audience yet. Thanks for that, Sai. David says, my elders made the decision to stay closed physically. I disagree with it, but as a member, I have to follow their decision. And you should. Mainly because if the building's closed, you don't really have much of a choice. You know, so, but you, yeah, not much you can do, unless you start your own church, and that wouldn't be biblical at all. So, so, what else do you guys? Are there any other stories that happened like today? I mean, there's so much stuff that's happening. There's so much stuff. Can you guys think of anything else? Any other crazy things that's happening? Anything that's going down? Any stories you saw that you'd like me to comment on, talk about? Any questions? Feel free. I'm looking at the chats now. Just let me know. I think what I'm going to do, you guys send me stuff that you'd like me to talk about. Post it in the chat. And I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. And then I will be back in about 60 seconds, maybe? So, I'll see you then. All right, we're back. I actually, thanks to David for this story. Thank you guys for waiting. Those that are waited, those that have waited. Thank you guys to everybody that's still watching on YouTube, that put up with my little bathroom break. Appreciate taking the time to let being gracious enough to let me take a little bathroom break. I really appreciate it a whole lot. Just wanted to, this article right here I got is a doozy. Thanks to David for sending it to me. And it says, undercover cops arrested 2 women for operating home beauty businesses in violation of coronavirus lockdown order. Check that out. Aren't those some wonderful officers? So, let's check this out. Undercover cops arrested 2 women in Laredo, Texas for violating the city's COVID-19 shutdown order. The woman, Ana Isabel Castro Garcia and Brenda Stephanie Mata, had been operating prohibited cosmetology businesses from their home. The Laredo lockdown mandates that non-essential businesses, including cosmetology services, must close. Police say the women were reported anonymously through the department's app. Both of the violators independently solicited customers via social media. On both cases, an undercover officer working on COVID-19 task force enforcement detail made contact with each solicitor to set up an appointment for a cosmetic beauty service that is prohibited under the emergency ordinance. Both women were charged with a Class B misdemeanor, which comes with a maximum potential penalty of 180 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. The 2 women were released on $500 personal reconnaissance bonds. Goodness gracious, guys. That's insane. The longer local and state lockdown orders remain in place, the more authoritarian the enforcement seems to get. Holy cow. That is... Could you imagine spending 60 days in jail? 60 whole days in jail. Simply because you decided to post an ad on Facebook to cut someone's hair, to make a little extra money on the side. And you're going to spend 6 months of your life in jail. Thanks to some really amazing and incredible, hard-working, really top-of-the-line, grade A police officers who were undercover. Those guys, oh my goodness. What happened to them? Did you ever wonder? Like, what happened to these what happened in their life? That would make for a great documentary, I think. Like, wouldn't it make a good documentary? Is like you go to these undercover officers that arrested. I mean, like, they went undercover for this. Like, this, I mean, these people, like, I feel like that would make for such an interesting documentary, is just to follow, like, what happened to you? Like, what happened in your life? Like, I want to know your whole life story that got you to the point that you became an officer and then went undercover to arrest a hairdresser who was trying to get some extra money on Facebook. Like, what? I feel like that would be, I guarantee you, that would be either some real life Reno 911 level documentary filmmaking, or at the very least, some Joe Exotic Tiger King stuff. Starting my Kickstarter today, man. That actually would be like a really good film, though, right? Like, you actually, like, find these police officers. I don't know how you would go about doing this, but you find these police officers that arrest people for, like, the most bogus stuff. And then you just sit them down in front of the camera and you say, so who hurt you? Who hurt you? That's what I'm talking about. So thanks, David. David says he'd watch it. Yeah, man. That'd be fun. It'd be very hard to get officers that are willing to do that, though. Let's see. Cy sent something. He says, "Did I cover this?" Yeah, bro. I covered that like a while back ago. How long have you been in my chat, Cy? Solus Christus says number 1 or 2. What's that? What's that about? 1 or 2? Oh, here's a good question. What are some good resources for a biblical view on the free market? Well, let me pull it up. It is called Productive Christians in an Age of Guilt Manipulators. Here it is. Right here. Productive Christians in an Age of Guilt Manipulators, a biblical response to Ronald Snyder, 3rd edition by David Chilton. This book is $40 on is it 40? Oh, there's some used for $6. But by the way, you could buy the actual book. That's possible. But it's actually free if you just Google Productive Christians in Age of Guilt Manipulators. Like the first result that comes up is like the PDF of this book, and it's free. So this is the best book on a biblical view of the free market I've ever read in my life. It's fantastic because it's an objection. He's writing response to socialism, completely using the Old Testament biblical laws as the basis for a free market. And dude, it's like you know, you have those times when you're a Christian and like things just hit you hard, like using law and gospel when you share evangelism, studying the holiness of God, understanding Reformed theology, and then reading this book. Like those are the things right there. So just and this is I've read Rich Christians in the Age of Hunger. This is who David Chilton is responding to, and I've read this too, and this is just the worst book I've ever read in my life. It's like a Christian defense of socialism. It's really it's so terrible. It's really bad, and David Chilton just destroys it. He destroys it. So that's my thoughts on that question. What's another question? Also, are theonomists typically libertarian, or is that just your personal view? Is the theonomic view different from the secular theonomist view? I'm assuming you meant secular libertarian view. Is theonomy different from the secular theonomist view? Secular libertarian view. Is theonomy different than the secular theonomist? The libertarian, I keep trying to say it's secular libertarian view. And so I would say very there's very key differences between libertarianism and theonomy, and the main difference is that libertarianism has no standard whatsoever. They, like what's that libertarian guy, Vernon, I don't know his name. He's like some crazy. He's very smart, but he plays someone who's crazy on TV. He's talking about how he supports a right for a woman to do what they want with their own body. So there's the libertarianism that says, you know, gay marriage is fine, abortion is fine, those sort of things. And then there's the libertarians that tend to lean like Republican conservative libertarian. And the problem is that those differences, the moral libertarians and I guess you could say immoral libertarians, they're so opposite ends of the spectrum. They're so opposite that there's no way they'll ever have unity. I just don't see a lot of success from that. But the other thing is too, of course, like objective standard. I think that's the main thing. The main thing is as a theonomic libertarian, I guess you would say, as a theonomic libertarian, I have an objective standard for why I base my political policies on the free market and all those things on. The main thing being that I believe completely that the Bible is a standard for economic liberty, freedoms, all those sort of things. They all come from the Old Testament. Now, libertarians simply adhere to a lot of those same conclusions just because it works. And just because it works is not the reason I believe in a free market. I believe that a free market is God's way in which he desires the economy to be run. So there's a massive difference there. And without that, I don't think you're going to see a lot of success within the Libertarian Party unless they have an objective standard. So yeah, the book is the book actually, Rich Christians in the Age of Hunger. I don't know if that's free. Yeah, I think you know, it's the funny thing is in this book by Ronald Snyder, when he's talking about if we just took all the money that rich people spend playing golf every year, and we just spent that on finding a cure for AIDS or feeding the homeless, then that then that's but he uses that same line about golf all the time. Like, it's just like several times throughout the book. He just says, if you just calculate the totals of the amount of money rich people spend on golf, we can end hunger. And David Chilton just destroys that line. And one of the most powerful things in that book is when he's talking about how a nation who is poor and starving is probably poor and starving because they've rejected the gospel. And every nation that's embraced the gospel has had abundance. So when you sit there and say, we're just going to like spend all the money that rich people spend on golf every year on stopping people from being hungry, it's not going to work because people don't want that. They desire their sin. They desire, and he goes through all that, and it's really fascinating. It'll really change your view on like economic aid for sure, because you will see that the main thing is that they understand the gospel. So Jeremy says, I grew up in a full socialist worldview here in Australia. It's only been since reading the Bible as actually having a say in our lives today that the whole free market position suddenly makes sense. I've become everything I used to mock, a conservative Christian who defends free market, death penalty, etc. Yeah, Jeremy, are you still pro guns now? What about the monarchy? What about the Queen? I love my Australian brothers, man, but sometimes their support for the monarchy just drives me insane. It's like, haven't you read 1 Samuel 8? What happens when you get a queen? When you get a king? God doesn't want people to have a monarchy. They're going to take 10% of what you have. Oh, my Australian brothers, I love you very much, but I just can't come to the monarchy conclusion like you guys do. So, Abdul, I did not block you. So let's see. Jeremy says, haha, I love the Queen. What? See, that's a, like, whoa, what are you doing, man? Oh, you can love the Queen. You should love her. How about the monarchy system? How about that? Do you love the monarchy, the political system of a monarchy. David says, have you heard about what Tyson said about the supply chain and what's happening? I have not. Oh, well, I did hear. Yes, I did. Sorry. I did. I was actually having this conversation today with Pastor Jeff, man, and he, you know, I think once the meat supply goes dry, like once we start running out of food, because that's just how the laws of economics work. We're gonna run out of food. Our nation, look, if we are not working, we're gonna run out of food. I'm actually kind of amazed at how, like, I was thinking maybe over the next 10 to 15 years we would go full communist. But, I mean, for it to happen in like 2 months, I don't know, maybe there's a blessing to that, you know? That it happens so quickly. I'm hoping that it encourages people to stop it from ever happening again just as fast. That's my hope. Just a thought. So, let's see, what other discussions can we have? What's going on? Jesse says we'll all become vegetarians. You're gonna have to. I mean, you're probably not even gonna be able to become a vegetarian, man. Poor nations aren't vegetarians either, because they can't get food, man. If the meat supply runs up, the rice supply is gonna dry up. Everything's gonna dry up. We're not gonna have. You're literally gonna have to eat your dog. It's literally something that's gonna happen for a few people. They're probably gonna be thinking about in the next month if this lockdown stuff so happens. Like literally, Fido is gonna become Frido. Oh, you know, I watched a YouTube video of a guy. He was eating dog at like a market, like an Asian market. He was eating dog, like for real. It's not a stereotype. The Asian markets, that's actually where you can actually order this. And so he ordered it, and he actually said it tasted really, really good, and he just couldn't eat it because of the thought of what he was eating. But I'm going to tell you, man, people are going to be breeding dogs for food very, very quickly if the government doesn't open up, man. So I said, can you explain why the USA supply chain is breaking down? I don't get it. Here in Australia, we have more food and it's cheaper than ever because we aren't sending it all to China. Well, the thing, Jeremy, is that we actually have too much food. So if you're running a company, let's say you're running a company, we'll just say meat processing, right? You run the meat processing plant, so you breed the cows. You breed the cows. The cows are then killed. They're put into meat processors, and then they're shipped out to McDonald's. Now, if McDonald's isn't selling the same amount of food as they were, suddenly what happens is, as a farmer, you have more cows than people are buying. Now, if you have to feed these cows, if you have to keep these cows alive, you can't kill them and send it to meat processing because that's just going to go bad. So what happens is, because these companies aren't getting as much orders anymore, they have to save their money. And they have to save what money they have. And then what happens is they're getting less orders, so they're making less money. And what money they have, now they're spending just the same amount of money on feeding all these cattle when there's not enough people buying the cattle. So now what happens is the farmers have to kill the cows. So that's what happens. And no, Jeremy, the fast food places aren't shut down. They're open through the drive-through. But people aren't going to them because they've lost their jobs. Right? So what you have is you have an abundance. You have too many cows and not enough money to feed them and take care of them. So now you have to kill the cows. So that's why the food shortages are a thing. That's why meat shortages are going to be a thing. Because of the way the economy works. People aren't going to make cows for charity. They're not going to breed cows for charity. They're going to breed cows to make money. And if you have to make profit on less orders, that means you got to stop breeding as many cows. So it's pretty simple. It just works its way down the line. If McDonald's isn't ordering as much meat as they used to, then you have an abundance of supply. So the price has to go down. And when it comes to animals and the price is too low, it's keeping cows alive, you lose money. So David says, have you heard what Elon Musk said? I have heard what I have. Shocked me because he's kind of a statist too. So it's interesting to see him just like flip so quickly. So yeah, shout out to Elon Musk. Yeah, I don't know, man, because when America's food supply goes, that's going to have a worldwide impact. It's going to have a worldwide impact. Some dairy farmers in Wisconsin, Elijah says, some dairy farmers in Wisconsin are dumping milk. They're set up for packaging milk for schools, not for the public to buy in the stores. You know what? There was a video. Let me see if I can find it. It's so hard to find stuff like this on YouTube now because YouTube just buries it. But there was a farmers in let's see, no, it wouldn't be a farmer, would they? It'd be meat. What would you call it? You would call it livestock supply. Maybe something will come up. Ah, here we go.
Now to that warning from the CEO of Tyson Foods. Tonight he says the U.S. food supply chain is breaking because so many workers who process meat have coronavirus. And farmers say their crops meant for schools and restaurants are rotting. This comes at the same time that food banks are running low and lines are long. As CBS
just for the record, I don't believe that the supply chains are going bad because the workers have coronavirus. I just don't think he wants to publicly admit that he has to kill chickens in order to save money because not enough people are buying chickens. That's personally what I believe. I could be wrong about that. That's just my initial thought.
As Manuel Bojorquez reports, it's because of a lack of a federal plan to distribute the food.
When Florida farmer Sam Accurcio saw demand from the food service industry plummet, he did what he could with the tomatoes that were ripe for harvesting.
So we've just been given...
I have to say this. Do those look ripe for harvesting? I guess by the time they get to the store, they'll be ripe for it. So I guess you have to kind of pick them a little bit more early than you would. Okay. Those tomatoes look like some, they'd make some good fried green
ripe for harvesting.
tomatoes.
So we've just been giving them away what we can, but we just simply have too much. People.
Can you guys hear that? That volume is really low for me. I don't know if that's
could be.
I think it's just this video. Because my volume is all the way up on this.
Living off of what we have to throw away.
The result? Millions of pounds of Florida tomatoes and squash were left to rot. In Idaho, farmers are putting out potato pyramids for people to take. In the Midwest, dairy farmers have dumped millions of gallons of milk. The cruel irony is all of this is happening while Americans wait in long lines for food donations. 120,000 people a week at the San Antonio Food Bank.
It is criminal. It's a shame that food should never go to waste.
Farmers and food banks had pleaded with the U.S.
Well, look, man, food should go to waste if people aren't buying it. If I'm a farmer, I'm not going to give away food for free just for the sake of giving away food for free. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size of my crops to compensate for lesser demand. That's what I'm going to do. I have, the Bible speaks about this. The Bible speaks about, and this is in David Chilton's books that I was just talking about lately, just recently. The Bible speaks about farmers giving away a percentage of their crops for like the sharecropping, right? Where those who are poor could come and they could harvest what was needed, and he talks about how the farmer, even in that situation, it's not a government it's not a government law that they do that. There's no punishment on behalf of the government if they don't give away a percentage of the crops. And he actually looked to the book of Ruth. Ruth was given priority over the crop. So the owner of the crop even has the ability to be able to determine what to do with the extra and who to give it to. So there's freedom there. And it's not just anybody gets to come and take away the free stuff. So yeah, so if a farmer has an abundance of supply, he should get rid of it and reduce the size of his crops. It's going to be devastating for us, man. This is going to be really bad.
Department of Agriculture to connect the oversupply with the growing need. Florida's Agriculture Commissioner said she'd asked for help for nearly
now the government's going to come and say, look, guys, if you can't afford to keep those crops that size, we're just going to take over. The Department of Agriculture is going to take over everything. That's what's going to happen. That's disturbing.
But the department didn't announce a plan until 10 days ago.
Should this intervention have happened before?
We needed to have acted sooner because it's put stress on charitable organizations like the Feeding America food banks that our inventory is running out.
And until the federal program catches up, some farmers say they will still have to euthanize livestock and chickens.
We reached out to the USDA, which said it's working.
Yeah, it seems like that whole article was really about there just not being enough supply to be able to, there not being enough demand to fund the supply. Nothing about people getting coronavirus at Tyson's. I think that's a bunch of garbage. I don't think that's true at all. I think what you see is that there's too many chickens, and the CEO of Tyson is like, well, if there's too many chickens, we got to get rid of the chickens. And it has nothing to do with the amount of workers who got coronavirus or whether or not the chickens have coronavirus, anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. I think it's all about the fact that he saves face. Tyson saves face by not letting people know that he's killing the chickens because it's unprofitable for him to have it. But that's really what's happening. They're killing the chickens because it's not profitable to have that many chickens if people aren't buying the chicken. I don't even think at McDonald's, that, like, last time I went to McDonald's, they only had like maybe six different combo meals up. They had a very limited menu. They've only gone to items they can sell with their core ingredients. So, for example, you have, let's say, your cheeseburger size patties, which they make the Big Macs off of, and then you have your quarter pounder patties. So you have, let's say you have like a Big Mac, you have your McDouble, you have your double cheeseburgers, then you have a quarter pounder, double quarter pounder, and then they probably still do chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So they've already reduced their like the premium chicken sandwiches, the premium Angus burgers, the stuff they don't have that anymore. McDonald's shut that off the menu. So that's happening. That's happening now. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's actually happening. And the economy is going to work the way the economy works, man. If people aren't working, they're not buying stuff. If they're not buying stuff, they're not eating out. If they're not eating out, McDonald's has too much beef, so they stop ordering more beef. And then that means that the farmers have too many cows, so they kill the cows. That's the supply line. That's how it is. It's really, man, look, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm just going to tell you right now. No one's resorted to violence yet in this country over this. But once people start starving, it's not going to take long. Once you go to the grocery store and you can't get ground beef, and there's no chicken at Costco anymore on the grillers, once that happens, it's going to be a problem. And look, here's what's going to, this is how it works, right? So right now, the supply is more than the demand. So the market is compensating. The market is compensating so that the amount of supply meets the demand. But as people get more hungry, there's going to be more demand, but there's not going to be the money to be able to pay for that demand. And because there's no money to pay for that demand, that's going to mean that there's just not going to be any supply. And people are going to be starving. Jeremy says, we still have full menus for now in Australia. Lord willing, we open up in the next week or two. Yeah, Jeremy, man, I hope you guys in Australia open up in a week or two, man, but people are going to starve, man. This is bad. This is just beginning, guys. There was a video of let's open videos this week. Let's see. There was a video of a meat farmer, and he was explaining the whole situation. But I don't see anything. Here we go.
The food supply chain is breaking. That's the warning in a full-page ad from Tyson Foods, released in the New York Times on Sunday. It comes after one of the country's largest meat processors closed a massive pork processing plant in Iowa because of a coronavirus outbreak. The letter from Tyson's president going on to say, there will be limited supply of our products available in grocery stores until we're able to reopen our facilities that are currently closed.
Ambulances start coming to our plant. People start being carried out of there. And so we were always asking our supervisors, basically, what is it that's going on here?
NBC News talked to one Tyson worker at that Iowa plant who concealed their identity.
We didn't have enough material or masks and things like that to provide to us. So they would start giving us different types of rags and stuff that they had washed and cleaned.
Tyson responding, telling NBC News, we've been working diligently to protect our team members. Early on, we allowed workers to bring their own masks, and we even supplied some until we could secure surgical-style coverings, which we now require all team members to wear. Adding, we aren't aware of any ambulance visits to the plant for...
Yeah, I'm thinking, guys, I firmly believe that it's not a COVID-19 outbreak that's happening at Tyson. It's just a supply and demand thing. It's a lot easier to say, hey, we had to close down this chicken processing plant because some workers, even if a worker did actually, they might have actually got COVID-19. I believe they did, but I don't think that that's the reason why they're shutting down the entire plant. I just don't think there's enough demand for chicken. That's my thought. But it looks really bad to say, hey, we laid all these people off because we just weren't making any profits. That'll be the death of people. So That would not be good, man. Could you imagine that? Could you guys imagine if they were just like, yeah, it's really just we're not making any money, which I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with them saying we're not making any money, but the liberal media would destroy them as a company. So, let's see. I really wish I knew where that Oh, here's the video. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for.
Hey everybody, this is Shad Sullivan coming to you from the headwaters of Bitter Creek, Archer County, North Texas. We have to talk. State officials will be assisting to help identify potential alternative markets if a producer is unable to move animals, and if necessary, advise and assist on depopulation and disposal methods. Ladies and gentlemen, we are plowing under vegetable crops from coast to coast. We are euthanizing millions of chickens. We are aborting sows and burying feeder pigs. We are dumping milk by the hundreds of thousands of gallons. Yikes. And now they are preparing us to depopulate the fat cattle ready to harvest. Yikes. Because of a bottleneck created by the effects of COVID. This thing hasn't been created by COVID, but the effects of COVID and the logistics therein. We are in trouble.
Okay, see what he said? He said, look, this is not about COVID-19. This is about the effects of COVID-19. So this is not about, he's saying, this is not about people getting the virus and not being able to work. This is about there's no demand for this meat anymore because people aren't working.
Our food supply is in trouble, and I am appealing to producers and consumers across the nation to start calling. Yesterday, the first shipment of imported beef from the country of Namibia hit the shores of the United States of America. And yet this morning, they are telling us to prepare to euthanize harvest-ready cattle.
Yikes.
Am I the only one that sees a problem in this? It is time we get the American people back to work. It is time we get money flowing. It is time we get food on the shelves. Because if you're not concerned about this food supply problem, you better be. We have a huge supply and demand of food across this nation. We can feed the world ourselves, and yet we're destroying our harvests. At the same time, we are importing beef from other countries, beef that is less regulated than our beef, less safe, not as high quality of product, and yet it's happening. At the same time, they are preparing for us to euthanize our harvests.
Yikes. Scary stuff, guys. Some scary stuff. Man, that's just... Man, guys, I'm telling you right now. Once the food supply starts to go, it's not going to be fun and games. Like, once the food supply starts to go, once the food supply just ends, there's no more food because people aren't working and people aren't buying food. That's what causes riots and revolts. Starvation causes revolutions. And that's a dangerous thing, man. We really need to be in prayer for our nation right now, because it is. Look, I'm as post-mill as it gets. I'm as optimistic as it gets. But my postmillennialism and my optimism are rooted in that God will put his enemies under his feet over the long term. And there's going to be many mountains of prosperity in the world, but there's also going to be many valleys. Many valleys. And we are at a very interesting time in the history of God's kingdom, in that we're seeing the greatest nation on the entire planet, the greatest Christian nation in the history of the world, the greatest. I don't think there's any doubt about it. That America's was at least one time the greatest Christian nation in the world, and we're seeing it come to ruin in a matter of weeks. Think about that. We've killed over 50 million babies under the guise of abortion. And the government tells us to stop meeting for worship. And we go, okay, no big deal. The Bible says that judgment starts in the house of God. Right? Judgment starts in the church. And I think for all the years that we haven't spoke out against abortion, or we've tried to just, manipulate the legal system to get it to slowly come to our favor, all those sort of things, that it's interesting to me that the first thing to go when this went down was the churches. The churches just were like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we'll shut down. Have a great day. Like that's just what happened. And if any time, there are people losing their jobs. There's people who are seriously hurting right now, and we just started. Wait! If the country does open back up again, there's going to be people that try to go into work and their business is shut down. There's just going to be a sign on the door. They're thinking, oh, great, our state's opening up back up this day. And they email their boss, and the boss doesn't return any emails because he doesn't work for the company anymore. There is no company anymore. So, Donnie on Twitch is asking if I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. I'm assuming by the fact that your last name on Twitter is Lucifer, Donnie Lucifer. I'm assuming this could be a guess that you're not. It's okay. You still can be. But yeah, it's just this is just really bad. It's gonna get worse. Yeah. Jesse says the good news is that we don't have to design a new system of government. We just revert to 1776. Well, I think we could just revert back. But I think there's probably a lot more protections that we could learn from over these past 200 and some years, almost 300 years, that we could stop from happening again for sure. I think I've said it for a long time that when God blesses the world with a second Reformation, the good news is that we don't have to design the printing press again. So all the technology and stuff is still there. Printing press is still there. Internet is here. So when Reformation 2.0 starts, it's going to be way more massive than the first one in terms of revival. It's going to be awesome. But I think before we get there, it's going to be a lot of suffering, a lot of pain that we're going to have to go through to get there, because that's just how God works. God brings about judgment before he brings about revival. And it's usually, more often than not, the judgment that brings about the revival. So it's just something to think about. It's not going to be a fun 2020 is not going to be a good time. If you got money saved up, take a vacation with your family now. Because I don't think our country, this time next year, I don't think our country is going to look anywhere near what we thought it would be. That's just my thoughts. That's just what I think. I just don't see I just don't see a positive outcome anytime soon in the near future. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I could be wrong. Maybe there'll be one thing. Maybe just one thing that kickstarts a national reformation, and we put an end to this mess. The church rises up. They say we're going to go back to church, and the government can go pound sand. Maybe that'll happen. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully there's elders out there right now who are talking about ways in which they're going to go to church, whether the government lets them or not. What we need to do, this is what we need to do. We need to find, this would be my idea, is we need to find a church in California or New York, one of the busy states. And we need to have that church reopen their doors. And we need to send an armed militia to the front doors of that church and stand their ground and not let the government do a single thing. And I think once churches start to do that, with lots of genuine, I'm not talking about a false church. I'm talking about like a genuine, solid church needs to open their doors, and they need to have an armed militia standing outside, and they need to protect the people going into worship. That's what needs to happen. And I think once that happens from a church, I think other churches will join in and open up. I would hope. I mean, I don't know what to say. If you're a pastor of a church and there's a church that is opening their doors to defy the government, I would hope that as a pastor, you would support them by opening the doors to your church. I would hope at the very least, and not leave them high and dry. There has to be something that motivates pastors to either open their doors or quit their jobs at this point. I just don't know. I just don't know what that is. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. So yeah, you have to open your doors. You there has to be a point, especially in the churches in California. You guys have to do it, even if you get arrested. Even if people get sick. John Calvin, as I said earlier, John Calvin would sneak out in the middle of the night. Ligonier has that article up. John Calvin would sneak out in the middle of the night during the times of the Black Plague and risk his own health and safety of other people to share the gospel with people who had the Black Plague. And just church, you're just going to have to do it. The churches are just going to have to do it. There's going to have to come a point where the churches decide in California and these liberal states, New York and Michigan or wherever else the church is closed, they're just going to have to open up. You guys got to pick a date. You got to be firm about it, and you got to do it. Even if you have to send a Black Robe Regiment, an armed militia outside the door to open the doors back up, it's just got to be done. I don't see any other way around it. So maybe if you're a pastor and you're watching this, maybe you could, maybe you want to call in the show and you want to talk about why you're closed, or if you have plans to open up and how you're going to go about doing that. I'd be interested in having that conversation. I think that'd be really edifying conversation to have. But at some point, I mean, it has to be at some point. The churches has to just open back up again. Look, I understand you were being gracious and you took the advice of the government and you took it, but now it's not the advice of the government anymore. It's the order of the government. It's the order of the government that you cannot meet to worship. Like, I got it at first. I was there. I was like, okay, I understand. If churches aren't meeting, I understand. Some churches have higher elderly populations. We weren't really sure what the numbers the coronavirus was. Weren't exactly sure how to deal with it, but man, like, now it's just an order. It's just government fiat. It's just Gavin Newsom just expressing his hatred of the Christian church at this point. And there's no question about it. There's just no question about it. It's not about saving lives anymore. If 500 people can be in a Walmart at the same time, 500 people can be in a church. The church is capable of figuring out the best way to protect its own congregation. We don't need to follow the instructions of the government on how to worship. We don't need the government to tell us that taking communion is unsanitary. We don't need the government telling us that we shouldn't do baptisms because we don't want to. Well, you know what? If you're Presbyterian, sprinkling is a pretty good sanitary way to do baptisms right now. Point 1 for Presbyterians. So, I don't know. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts, and of course, you know, I want to be gracious and encourage elders who have shut down their doors. I want to be gracious and kind to them. But at some point, you're gonna have to open back up again. You're just gonna have to open back up again. And maybe you're fined, maybe you're arrested, maybe even some of your members get sick. I think the chances of that are a lot slimmer than you guys getting arrested. And so the question is going to come, I think, very quickly. Are you meeting because you're worried about members getting sick? Are you not meeting because you're worried about members getting sick? Or are you not meeting because there's a fear to disobey the government? I'm curious as to how long it's going to take for that to become clear. Because initially it was only supposed to be 2 weeks, remember? Initially it was only 2 weeks. Well, now it's been almost 2 months. It's been almost 2 months. So, I don't know, but I will say this. I believe that once churches start to defy the government and open their doors no matter what, I believe that that's when other churches will do the same, and eventually the government will realize it has no power to enforce here. But it's going to take some brave pastors. It's going to take some brave pastors who don't follow the footsteps of others, but actually lead, and they're going to have to be first. So, that is my thoughts on that. I just, you know, let's pray for the elders that are out there now. Pray for the elders that are having to make this decision. pray that God gives them courage and strength. But at some point, the elders are gonna have to make a decision, and they're really gonna have to examine themselves and determine if their heart is in the right place as to why they're not meeting for worship. So that is my thoughts on that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. I hope you guys have had a good time. We've had fun. We've laughed. We've gotten serious. We've done all that. So I think it's a good time to end the stream. I think we've exhausted today's stories, and tomorrow will be the last day this week. I'll do the live stream. I said I was going to do it every day for the rest of this week, and so I'll do it tomorrow. So be sure to send me stories. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you know when I'm on. Send me stories that make you angry. Send me stories that upset you, rile you up, that encourage you, that make you laugh. We definitely need a lot of stuff that makes us laugh nowadays, because it's just getting worse and worse. And so anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you guys for especially to the ones that joined the Discord, that joined the Discord and called into the show. That was I really appreciate that. That's some good content, as I like to say. And thanks to the trolls in the YouTube chat this time. That was a lot of fun. Really appreciate that happening. But again, thanks to everybody. Thanks. I keep saying thank you over and over again, but the real reason is I'm just looking for the off switch here. That's all it is. All the thanks are just me looking for the off switch. So until I see you guys again, I hope you guys have a great day, and yeah, have a great day.